Okay, this is Honors Algebra 2 Pre-Calculus, and we're doing the virtual syllabus for school year 2021. I'm your instructor, Shan Hogan. So this course is designed to cover 2 courses in 1 year in a fast-paced block. So we do Honors Algebra 2 the first half and Pre-Calculus in the second half. So you'll see that as HA2PC for me most of the time. So the 2 textbooks that we're going to use are Holt Algebra 2 and Larson Pre-Calc 6th edition. Both of those PDFs will be available to you through a Google Drive folder that I will link in Google Classroom. So you're going to see a couple things blotted out in red here that you will see on your actual PDF of the syllabus, things that I didn't want to give everyone in the world of YouTube. So my email address, which you should get used to using, my website. So when we talk about the website, this is my website. If you go under Hogan's current courses, you'll see Honors Algebra 2 Pre-Calculus. And we're going to go back there in a minute when we talk about homework assignments. Cool. So my bad. There we go. All right. So we'll go back to the website in a minute when we talk about homework assignments. So we're going to have a daily, we have my YouTube, which we're going to talk about in a sec too. You're going to need to use my YouTube a lot this year because we're remote, so you're going to get the lesson videos on my YouTube channel. And then we're going to have a daily check-in form that you're going to fill out every day. Again, we'll talk about that soon. So for Meets, and we're going to start with Meets, and we might switch to Zoom depending on how the platforms are working, but tentatively we're going to start with Meet, and I reserve the right to change this over to Zoom if it's not panning out well. What you're going to do is you're going to go to meet.google.com, right, which looks like this, and then you're going to type in the nicknames that I give you, and it's always going to be the same nickname. I'm just not putting it here, right? It's going to be on your syllabus. They're blocked out in red right now. So on all days that we meet for class, which for this class will be every day of the week, we'll meet on A days, B days, and Fridays, which are our C days. So on those days, you're going to use this code that's hidden here that you'll get on your actual syllabus. And then I'm going to have office hours on A days and B days from 2:19 p.m. to 3:04 p.m. And that's going to be a different code that's hidden right here. So please note that for the class and office hours, right, I'm going to ask that you refrain, or that it's for students only, right? So parents and guardians, I'm going to ask that you don't attend class or office hours. I am more than happy to meet with you personally, but you're just going to email me at the email address that you'll be able to see in your real syllabus to schedule a meeting, right? So here are our virtual class times, right? So we have A days, B days, and Fridays, right? So we're going to walk through what those days look like. Now, A days and B days look the same. They're just at different times of the day. So you'll see that this breakdown of 10 minutes, 35, 20, and then 9 is exactly the same for both of them. It's just what time of day. So we meet a little bit later on A days because A days go 1, 3, 5, 7. So we're the last period of the day. And on B days, we are the second to last period because they go 2, 4, 6, 8, and we are a 6-period class. So, so we're going to walk through what an A day would look like. Just so that you kind of get the gist of how it would look. And again, B days work the same, just at slightly different times, and then we'll talk about what C days are going to look like too. So on an A day, right, you're going to log into, I'm going to write Zoom/Meet because again, I'm reserving the right to change to Zoom if we need to. And you're going to see a quick lesson intro, like, hey, here's the topic we're going to cover, and you're going to submit this warm-up on Google Classroom by whatever time. So if it's an A day, it would be 1:20 in the afternoon. If it's B day, it would be noon. So basically what that's giving you is giving you about 15 minutes from when you log in. It's 18 minutes on B days just because I wanted a nice happy round number and I picked noon. So you have about 15 minutes. So what's going to happen is you're going to log in for about 10 minutes and that's going to be synchronous. In that time, I'm going to post that warm-up that is not posted anywhere else. So you need to be logged in and you're going to write it on notebook paper. Or you're going to type it if you want, although typing math is always a weird choice. And then you're going to upload your answer. You've got plenty of time to do that. They will tend to be problems that take well under the 10 to 15 minutes. After that, you can stay on the Zoom if you want or on the Meet if you want. I'm going to be on there, but I would suggest that you probably don't want to, or if you do, you might want to just turn your camera off and watch the videos on your own. And you're going to go to my YouTube channel and you're going to watch the lesson video that's pertinent to that day. And it's usually 2 to 3 videos that are broken down. So let's look at my YouTube channel for a sec. So one thing you'll notice is that when we look at Chapter 1, I was still using a whiteboard on the ground with a camera tilted at it, so it's not perfect, but you'll deal with it. I promise that when we get to later versions, I start using screencasts like I'm using now, and it looks a lot nicer. But so you'll notice that 1.1 has 3 videos, right? 1.1001, 1.1002, 1.1003. So those 3 videos together end up being somewhere in the neighborhood of like 28 minutes, right? So That's going to vary. Some days are slightly longer, some days are shorter, right? So I'm not saying that you're always going to be able to get through the videos in the 35 minutes. When you're using these videos, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take notes just like you would in a regular class, right? So you're going to want to pause if you need to write some notes. We're going to do examples, right? So let's see. We're going to do examples. Let's see if I can skip to so we've got stuff about slope. So you're going to want to take those notes. Hang on, let me skip to one that will have an example. So you'll see, so I started in the second video. So I usually use E1 for examples, right? And then the next problem that you would try on your own would be P1, right? So after E1, there would be a P1, and sure enough, you see there's a P1 that's going to be similar, and then you would walk through that, right? So I would suggest that you take notes whatever way you would normally have taken notes in class, right? If you're a notebook person, great. If you're a binder person, great. It doesn't matter to me. If you're somebody who likes to write on a tablet, if you have an iPad that you can write on, good for you, right? I don't care what works for you, but you should take notes the same way that you would have taken in a class. The advantage to the videos is that you can go at your own pace. You don't have to cover the material during the time that we're asynchronous, but I would suggest it's a good time to do it. So you're going to walk through those videos. Now you'll notice there's 35 asynchronous minutes, but it's actually 55. Because what's going to happen is sometimes the videos run a little bit longer. I'm going to be available this entire time, but with around 150 on an A day, I'm going to just chime in on the Zoom or on the Meet and say, does anybody need any extra help? Are there homework questions? Are there questions? You can email me the whole time that you're asynchronous, or you can just type something in the chat. And then we'll spend a little bit of time going over anything that was unclear in the videos or anything else that you need. And then the last 9 minutes of class, we're going to have a closer problem, right? So just like we had a warm-up problem, the last 9 minutes of class, we're going to have a closer problem. So we'll walk through what we're going to talk about, and then we're going to have a closer problem that's probably related to the material we did that day or to something earlier in the week, right? So that's kind of the idea of what that's going to look like. And same thing on B days, just slightly different times, right? Now C days, we're still going to have a warm-up and a closer just to get us there, right? And the reason is because we actually have more time than most people, right? On most classes on Fridays are only 25 minutes, but we have two 25-minute periods, and in all likelihood, the 5-minute transition between them, because you're not really transitioning anywhere, you're in the same class. So we have just under an hour. So what we're going to do with that is, rather than try and make you cover new material on a Friday, I feel like I originally drafted a calendar that had you doing new material every Friday, and I decided that we are all pushed a little bit to our limits, and that it would be kinder to use Friday as a time for us to get in groups, work on homework, ask questions, and make sure that we're still connecting and we're still learning what we need, because I don't think that pushing you at a breakneck pace is a great plan. You'll see when I show you the schedule in a couple minutes that we are easily going to finish the material by the end of the year. We finish pre-calculus, we do some calculus, we do some SAT prep. So we're not in a crunch for time, and it makes much more sense to use Fridays as a time to be kind to ourselves, to make progress on homework together, to answer questions. So that seemed like the smarter, more prudent choice here. Okay, so let's talk about some assignments. So summer project is due on 9/11. There's not much to say about that. The daily check-in form. So you're going to do that every day. So if there's 5 days in a week, you'll do it 5 times. If there's 4 school days, you'll do it 4 times. And it takes about a minute. It's your name, it's the date, it's what class you're in, and then there's a little spot for optional comments at the end. If you want to tell me a funny joke, or tell me that you're having a really hard time because somebody at home's sick, or tell me that your brother's driving you nuts because he keeps stealing like your phone or your video game controller or whatevs. I don't know. Or you can tell me nothing, but it's just a check-in form. You don't get more points or fewer points based on anything. You get 1 point for filling it out. That's it. There's a warm-up. We saw that, and a closer. Both of those are 2 points each. So then you're going to have chapter homework. And when we talk about chapter homework, I want to pull up my website again, which is probably that one. Okay, so the way the chapter homework is going to work is you're going to go to the Honors Algebra 2 Pre-Calculus, and what you're going to see is that there's an entire column of homeworks, right? And when you click on homeworks, you're going to see that there's an assignment. Now, this may or may not be the exact assignment that you end up with, because I'm debating cutting down the problem significantly, but there's a Chapter 1 of Algebra 2 homework assignment, and you're going to do all of those problems, and they are from the textbook that you will have a PDF of, right? So that's the plan, right? So you're going to work through those. Notice I don't give you nightly homework. You have chapter homework. So if we go back to that, and again, this may not be exactly what your Chapter 1 homework looks like. It may be changing, but notice that you are self-pacing yourself. You are staying ahead. When we do Section 1, you should do Section 1. When you do Section 2, you should do Section 2. There's always somebody who doesn't, especially in the early chapters. And I'm going to be really honest and say that you might get away with it in chapter 1 or chapter 2 because we're still doing a lot of review of Algebra 1. But one of these days, the math gets harder and you can no longer bust out all the homework in one night. So please, please, please try to do the homework the same way we do it, same day that we do the stuff in class. I am in all likelihood going to change those homework assignments and make them slightly smaller because, again, I don't think we need more work in the middle of this pandemic. I think we need less work, but it needs to be quality work. So that's due the day after the exam because I learned years ago that if I made it to the day of the exam, everyone stayed up really late doing the homework and then tanked the exam, which is a bad use of your resources because the homework is only worth 40 points and the exams are worth 100, but people did it. The chapter exam is going to be the end of every chapter, and the format is still going to be something that we're going to figure out, okay? So because honestly, I don't know what we're looking at right now. If we go back to my website, though, if you look the way it currently exists, if you look down at this bottom of Honors Algebra 2 Pre-Calc stuff, you'll see that there's a spot that says Reviews, right? So there is currently a Chapter 1, review packet that looks exactly like the Chapter 1 exam, literally exactly, but with different numerical values, and detailed solutions to that chapter review, right? Again, not just the answers, but detailed solutions of how I did every single problem, sometimes in multiple ways, okay? So you can expect to still use those reviews. I have to figure out what our actual exams are going to look like. What they looked like in the spring was a Google form where you filled out stuff and then uploaded pictures for free response, right? So we're going to figure it out. I don't know what it's going to look like, but they will in all likelihood still use those reviews that are on the website. Category breakdown. So this class is designed to prepare you for advanced placement classes, which use a breakdown of 80% assessments and 20% homework. To transition you into that sort of severe break where assessments are worth a lot more, we use a 66.667 repeating or 666666 repeating for assessments and a 33.3 repeating for homework. In order to achieve that, I have to use only the test and classwork categories because the School District of Philadelphia has their own category breakdown, and that's the way it works. Late assignments and makeup exams. So in general, late assignments will not be accepted. However, I know that extenuating circumstances happen more in 2020 than they ever have before. So you can reach out to me on a case-by-case basis, but if you know that you're going to have trouble submitting something on time, you should reach out to me in advance. Don't reach out to me 3 days after something's due and say, oh, I have this thing. Be proactive. Own it. Say, this is what's going on. I don't have this done. I know it's due tomorrow. What can I do? Like, be proactive and reach out to me. Again, I can't guarantee that I will be lenient about it, but you should be mindful that being proactive is always a better look than trying to reach out after you've already messed something up. So it's your responsibility to ensure that you're able to complete assessments on time. However, in the event that an emergency or an illness arises and you can't do that, you're expected to reach out to me in advance again, right? Don't reach out to me 2 days after a test was supposed to happen, which probably wouldn't happen anyway because I probably emailed you the second you didn't take my test. But in case I didn't, don't reach out to me after the fact. Try to be proactive. Even if you're in the middle of a situation and you have to shoot me an email that's like 5 words, you know, just saying that you can't do it because of an emergency. Fine, but be proactive, right? Zoom and Meet expectations. So you're expected to be logged into the Zoom or Meet for class during the synchronous times that we talked about before. Please aim to be on time to the synchronous parts. That said, I'm mindful that it's easy to be a minute or two late when trying to log in. I'll err on the side of leniency unless you're repeatedly having an issue. I get that sometimes you trip over your dog or you can't find your headphones because your sister borrowed them or whatever. I get it. Just try not to make it a constant occurrence. You're not required to turn your camera on at all. It's totally up to you. If you're up for it, it's always nice to actually see people. I haven't taught any of you in class before. It's nice to be able to put a face to the name. I'm not naturally really good at faces and names. I've had maybe 9 concussions in my life. We can talk about my repeated head injuries at some point, but I played a lot of sports that involve getting hit in the head. And so really it helps me personally if I can put a face to your name. But if you can't be on or you don't want to be on, that's certainly your choice and it's fine. And we definitely all also have days where we're just not down for the camera, and that's fine. Okay, when you're not answering a question or asking a question, or if you're not working in like groups on homework on a Friday, right, which will probably be happening in breakout rooms, you're expected to be on mute, right? Please make sure you mute yourself. It's very, very hard to have a conversation or talk through things if people aren't on mute. Students are expected to use school-appropriate language both verbally and in the chat. This also includes wearing school-appropriate clothing. It doesn't mean it has to be a uniform, but you shouldn't be wearing something that has offensive words on the shirt. You shouldn't have like I don't know, posters with hate speech. Also, please just don't have posters with hate speech in general, because why would you want that? But like, you know, be mindful of the surroundings. If you have something that you are not sure if it's appropriate, just don't wear it or take it off your wall or cover it up. Okay. Communications expectations. We're all exhausted. I get it. We're over screens and Zooms and Google Meets. I am over making videos. It is like almost midnight and I am making my 3rd syllabus video and I am tired. I get it. Trust me. We all feel this way. That said, I need you to try and stay in the loop, right? So even if you're burned out, I need you to check your SDP email daily. I need you to log into Google Classroom daily. I need you to email or message me if you need something. It's extra hard for me as a teacher to be proactive and see if you're struggling if I can't even see you in the real world. So please don't be shy about reaching out if something's up, right? Okay, human expectations. So you're not at your best. I'm not either. Even if you are the world's biggest introvert and you, like, this pandemic hit and you thought, I'm living the dream, I'm gonna be at home, I don't have to see anybody, there's video games, life is awesome. Even if you're that person, you're still probably over this whole thing. I get it. We're all tired, it's rough. So here's what I expect from you as a human. Try. Even when it's difficult, even when you're tired, even when you don't care. Trust me, I've been there for all of those. Be honest. Don't cheat on homework or assessments. Like, sure, that's a thing. Don't cheat. We'll talk about that in a sec. But also, on a bigger scale, be honest with yourself about needing help or human interaction or stupid jokes or whatever you need. Pretending that everything is fine and normal when it is clearly not is just weird and it's not helping any of us. Also, specifically to folks in this class, some of you, this will be the first time that you struggle in a math class. Not because of the pandemic, not because we're remote, but because it's very fast-paced and I push you really hard and my tests are long and difficult. And so this may be the first time you struggle. And for some of you, you might attribute that to this being the pandemic and it's remote and it's hard. And I'm going to tell you right now that although that might be true in some ways, it's also just a course where a lot of people for the first time in their lives really struggle. And that's healthy and it's productive, but you can't quit on me. So if you're starting to struggle, if you're starting to feel like you're stupid, I assure you, you are not stupid. When you don't know how to do something, when you feel like, oh, it was a mistake, I shouldn't have gotten this class, it was a fluke this whole time, I wasn't actually smart enough to be here, you're totally wrong, just trust me, you're wrong on that. But if you're feeling that way, you have to tell me. Because when we're in person, I can spot that you're starting to feel that way. I can see that you're feeling that way and I can try and help. But when we're remote like this, it's gonna be really hard, having never actually taught you in class yet, to spot that that's what's happening. So please, if you start to feel like that, just try to reach out to me and meet me halfway, reach out, and I promise I will go the other half of the way to help pull you up and make you feel better and get you through. Because you can get through, but please be honest if things aren't okay with you so that I can start to help. Lastly, be kind to yourself, because really you may struggle in this class for the first time ever, right? To your peers, to your family, to me. When you have a bad day and you can't be kind, that's okay too. We've all been there. Do everyone a solid and own it. It's okay to admit I was a jerk yesterday, I'm sorry, right? It's okay to admit I was snarky in that email, I'm sorry, right? We all have bad days. Learning to be a person that can own that and say I'm sorry without making an excuse is a really great human skill. And I think we need that more than ever right now. All right, so let's move on to some logistic stuff. So I'm a planner. Some of you already know this because you've already gotten color-coded emails from me before. So let's talk about schedule. All right, so we are only virtual for the first quarter, which is until November 17th. However, it seems prudent to have a full year plan in place just in case, right? Hope for the best, plan for the worst. So I'm planning in case we are virtual. I'm not saying we will be virtual. I'm saying that I am a planner and it comforts my high level of anxiety to have a plan. So if when we return to school in person, there will be an updated syllabus, an updated instructional schedule, and things will change, right? But for right now, this is what it would look like if the entire year ended up being virtual. Fingers crossed that this is not what happens. Okay, one other caveat here. In the event that school is canceled on an A or a B day, the virtual schedule would shift so that the next full day is the one that we missed. So for example, because it's 2020, if aliens invaded or Godzilla attacked and we lost an A day, right? If like 9/10, let's say 9/10 Godzilla, and we lose 9/10. Well, 9/10 was supposed to be an A day, so that means that 9/14 will now be an A day, and everything will shift a day back. If that happens, you will be warned about it. It's not going to be a surprise. And to be perfectly honest, on our schedule, it doesn't affect us personally as a class very much because you see me every day anyway. It's just what time you see me. Okay, So here's the schedule of all the things we're going to do. The blue days are A days, the green days are B days, and the yellow days are C days, which is just Friday, right? And then gray means we don't have school. So you can see that this goes all the way to the end of the year. You will have a copy of this very color-coded syllabus soon. Okay, so one thing you'll notice is that we finish pre-calc, right? We finish pre-calc in April, right? The Chapter 10 exam is our last pre-calc exam, and then we start doing calculus, and then after we do calculus, we do SAT prep, right? And then we have a little bit of time at the end where I say TBD because I don't know what's going to happen after that last set of grades close. So point being, we have plenty of time, we have lots and lots of wiggle room, and this is with me giving you Fridays as a time for us to work together and try to stay like mentally well while doing math, which I think is kind of important. Okay, so a couple other things. So course description, we've talked about this a little bit already, so it's 2 courses in 1 year. The goal is to get people in AP AB calculus next year and AP BC calculus the following year. So in terms of expectations, by electing to take this class as a sophomore, which is most of you, that's probably about 20 out of 33 people, you're indicating that your goal is to take AP AB calculus as an 11th grader and BC calc as a 12th grader. The goal of this, if you take AB and BC, is to get you out of College Calc 1 and College Calc 2, which could be up to 8 college credits. Also, more specifically, College Calc 2 is a really difficult course that colleges frequently use to weed students out of their major, meaning they push them to take this really hard course, and if you don't pass it, you can't be the engineering major that you want or the med major that you want or whatever it is. So it's really great to get the credits for College Calc 2 because the course is really hard, but it's not something that you're desperately going to need after you get through it. So if you can get the credits and get out, it's awesome. Also, I made a lot of money in college tutoring people that were not good at Calc 2. I'm just saying. All right, so if you're taking this as a freshman, which is a handful of you, that's the same idea, except the goal would be for you to take AB in sophomore year, BC as a junior, and then hopefully either AP Stats as a senior or College Calc 3, which is multivariate, the next step after, at either Temple or CCP or Penn or LaSalle or somewhere else in Philly. If you're taking this as a junior right now, this class, then your goal is to take AP AB next year and hopefully get credit for the first half of that college calculus, which could be up to 4 credits. So in all of these cases, I'm going to push you really hard and I'm going to expect you to take this seriously. So you're expected to complete every assignment and stay responsible and stay on top of your work. It's also okay to reach out if you feel overwhelmed. With the homeworks, again, notice that you are self-pacing. So if we look at the homeworks, right, if we go up to the top here for a sec, we start chapter 1. Your homework for chapter 1 is due here, right? It's due down here on 9/22. So you are self-pacing your homework until 9/22. That's a decent amount of time. You just have to stay on top of it. But again, be mindful that you need to stay on top of your work, right? Okay, so academic dishonesty, which should have been on the next page, but it's all right. So academic dishonesty in the age of the pandemic is a little weird. Obviously, you know that you're not supposed to copy somebody else's work and submit someone else's homework as your own, and that you shouldn't talk to other people during a test. So here's the thing. It's not going to be as obvious catching people cheating as it would be if you were in my class and I saw you looking at someone else's test or whatever, right? Please don't cheat, right? When it comes to the homework, collaboration is awesome. Working together on homework is a great plan. That's why I have it built in as a day every week. On Fridays, let's work together on our homework. If you don't know how to do problem 7 and the kid that would be sitting next to you in a real class but is obviously not and is on the Zoom, is in your breakout room in Google Meet or whatever, knows how to do it, then it's great if you say, hey man, I don't know how to do this, could you help me? And he says, oh yeah, like you move this 5 over and you know, whatever. That's awesome. Collaboration is awesome. Copying is academically dishonest. You can't copy someone else's work and represent it as your own. Please don't do that. It's obvious when you do because then you don't know how to do the problem. It's fine to say, hey, how did you get a 5 there? I don't understand, and have someone explain it to you, right? It's fine to compare answers and say, oh, I got 7 and you got 8. What happened? That's great. That's awesome. The harder math gets, the more you're going to collaborate. That's wonderful. But please don't copy other people's work. Please don't use internet engines designed to solve problems for you, because the issue is you're going to have the ability to use logic and reasoning skills to solve. It's great to use the internet. If your homework problem says use such and such formula and you can't remember it, by all means, Google that formula and figure it out. Be resourceful. Don't go to me first. That's fine. but don't go to some website that solves it for you, right? Because if you do that, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up with essentially the answer right, but zero skills to go with it, right? And that's not the goal we want here, right? In terms of tests, again, I'm not going to be sitting next to you. I'm not necessarily going to be able to see what's going on, but please don't be copying, don't be cheating, don't be talking during my tests. I don't know that I'd catch you, but eventually it catches up to you, because if you don't build the skills now, if you can't perform on the test on your own, then it's going to catch up to you sooner or later, probably in one of my classes, okay? So if I do catch you cheating, I give you a 0 on the assessment, and I talk to your parent or guardian. You can read the detailed policy there. Academic and behavior grades. So here's the thing about the behavior grades, right? Almost no one gets a negative report card comment from me. You can get it by being late 7 or more times, which I don't think is going to be a super big issue right now, because I think we're all going to be a little forgiving during the pandemic. You can get it for cutting my class, but I doubt that cutting classes is going to be much of a thing right now. You can get it for academic dishonesty on an assessment. So again, don't be academically dishonest and get caught doing that, or just don't do it, period, because that would be even better. You get it for other things like repeated failure to comply with the cell phone policy, which is obviously not a thing right now, and repeated excessive behavioral issues, which has literally never happened in my class. So really, you don't have to worry about that, but I always put it in just because that's a safe thing to do. So in general, right, so that's pretty much our syllabus video. I'm super bummed that I don't get to see you folks in class, and that this is the way we're starting the year, but we're going to make the best of it, and I will see you on the meets or the Zooms, and you know, we're going to have a good time and learn a lot of math and push ourselves, and I'm here if you need me. So that's your syllabus.